Gospel of the Lord, October the 17th, 2013, Luke 11:47-54. The Lord said, "Woe for you, because you build tombs for the prophets, the people your ancestors killed. In this way you both witness to what your ancestor did and approve it. They did the killing, you do the building. And that is why the wisdom of God said, I will send them prophets and apostles. Some they will slaughter and persecute, so that this generation will have to answer for every prophet's blood that has been shed since the foundation of the world, from the blood of Abel to the blood of Zechariah, who perished between the altar and the temple. Yes, I tell you, this generation will have to answer for it all. Woe for you, scholars of the law, who have taken away the key of knowledge. You have not gone in yourselves, and have prevented others from going in who wanted to." When he left there, the scribes and the Pharisees began a furious attack on him, and tried to force answers from him on innumerable questions, laying in wait to catch him out in something he might say. Gospel of the Lord, praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. We have at least 3 sections of the Gospel, and I'm going to start with the end. It says here that from that time, the scribes and the Pharisees began a furious attack on him, because they wanted to kill him. They wanted to have some evidence that he was going against the law, so that they can procure his killing based upon the law. Jesus, who is God, the Lord knew what was going to happen from this confrontation. Yet, seeing that they have a very stiff neck, a very hardened heart, a very closed-up mind, his intent of moving them towards honesty, that they might recognize themselves where they have strayed. Yet they did not accept him. They rejected him. And the consequence was extreme. They were going to cause his death, not against the Lord's will, because he willingly offered himself up on the cross for our salvation, yours and mine. Following Christ is a very radical proposition. There is not in between. Either you are with him or against him. The second part, as I go from finished to beginning, is this one. Woe to you, scholars of the law, who have taken away the key of knowledge. Of course, what he is referring is the knowledge of God, not science or general human knowledge, but the knowledge of God, the only knowledge that truly gives life and life eternal. He says, "You have not gone in yourselves, and prevent others from going in who wanted to." And let us be very honest, we all that like to learn the science of God, that we might not be a stumbling rock for our brothers, that we might not twist theology or tradition or teaching of the church against our brothers, because that's exactly what these scribes were doing. They did not want to share the knowledge of God. And if God has granted you or me the ability to learn more from him, it is not for you or me alone, but especially as a service to our brothers, to our brethren, who need to know the Lord in order to be saved, who need our work, our love in getting them to know the Lord, that they might be saved too. The main point, in my opinion, today is the blood that generation and even our generation will be responsible of. He says, you build the tombs for the prophets, the people your ancestors killed. You witness to what your ancestors did and approve it. And we might think, thanks God we are far away from that. But yet, we notice prophets that raise from time to time around us. And when they are attacked, we do not stand up to be witness with them. And there are many people like that. People like the Pope, who is crying out in the world against abortion, against war and its many crimes, against this nonsense of economical war. It's basically an economical war against the poor, against all people, a war driven by the rich ones in the world to get ever greater profits that lay waste among many, and even many of the rich countries, let alone of the poor. We have to just wait and to think that with perhaps 10%, just the 10% that is spent worldwide on armament and weaponry, just with the 10%, the whole world would stop being hungry and would be provided with medicine. Just the 10%. Is it not better to invest in the goodwill of the people, in their education and well-being, rather than accumulate weapons to kill them? They will not cease to require what each of us require: food, security, medical attention, education. And if people from all over the world want to go to war against us, it is because they do not have the necessary things. It is because they do not have the necessary freedom, nor the necessary education to cherish life. And the prophets, we have given our back to them many times. But the main blood that we will be required, which is exactly what the Lord is saying, this generation will have to answer for every prophet's blood from the foundation of the world. Because up to the time of Jesus, redemption had been a promise. But once the Lord has been sacrificed by himself on the cross, his very sacred blood demands our answer and our acceptance of his salvation, lest we reject him too, and by that rejection we reject salvation of ourselves and condemn ourselves to eternal pain and punishment. Many of our brothers, too many perhaps, the great majority of the world, do not know this Jesus, whose name means salvation of God. And we need to do our best effort to do the work, our part of the work, to love the Lord and to get him known, to be known and to be loved. May the Lord Almighty concede us and bless us that we may do his work, the Lord's work, as he hath said since the beginning of the time, for each of us, for you, my brothers, and for me too. God bless you all.